Hey guys, it's Cliff again. Just thought I'd make a video today in regards to my mobile detailing setup. I know over the past few months a lot of you guys have reached out to me asking questions like, what type of pressure washer do I use? What type of detailing van do you have? Do you have onboard water? Stuff like that. So I thought I'd answer all those questions in one simple to the point video. So to get things started off, what you'll see here is I have a 2016 Ford Transit Connect XLT, and it is the long wheelbase version, or LWB. All that means is this is a longer version of the traditional Ford Transit Connect. Now you may ask, okay, so why did you go with a Ford Transit, Cliff? Well, one of the main reasons I went with it is just because of the size and price. It's a very reasonably priced cargo van. It has decent cargo space and cargo weight, so I can carry water on board, no problem. I can fit all my equipment, no problem. And it can fit in my garage at home, but also can fit in any parking garage, and it can maneuver in some tight areas versus a lot of larger type of work vans are gonna have a harder time. Also, the reason why I went with a van versus maybe going with a truck or a trailer is just the convenience and the standpoint. I don't have to worry about the elements getting to anything. This reduces theft. So it just kind of makes things simple, because I'm all about keeping things stupid simple. I want to be able to wake up, get in the van, get on site, press a few buttons, and detail a car. I don't want to have to take a lot of things in and out and spend a lot of time on site. I just want to save as much time as possible. So that's the reason why I went with the Ford Transit Connect. Now, let's go over what I have on board and what I typically bring with me on site. So you'll see behind me is a shelf and a few things going on. So let me go over everything. So the first thing I have over here is my AR Blue Clean 630 electric pressure washer. I think it's a really good value for the price point that it's at. It typically runs around $500 to $600. But it is on that commercial level, so the pump itself is going to be able to withstand a lot of hours of use. It's about 1900 psi, 2 gallons per minute, so it's more than enough cleaning power for cars. It may not be the best when it comes to trying to clean the outside of your house or concrete, but even then it does an okay job. But it is very efficient on cleaning cars, and it works, and it's a very small size, compact, so it just works. So I have that mounted here. The next thing you'll see here is I have my 50-foot hose reel. This hose reel has been with me for a while. As you can see, it's not in a perfect condition, but it does work. And I just have an M22 hose hooked up, but I'm looking to change that out to a quick connect here in the near future, since I'm looking to change this whole entire setup, which I'll go over here at the end. And then right next to it, I have my 50-foot retractable cord reel. And this works great because I can just bring this out, hook up my steamer, hook up my vacuum cleaner, and then when I'm done, just retract it back, and I don't have to worry about like wrapping up, extension cables and using ties, stuff like that. And then all this is mounted on an aluminum shelf that me and my buddy made. It works great. I can even store stuff up here. It's very solid. Haven't had any concerns with it. It's pretty nice. Underneath there is a 100-gallon tank. I typically only keep it about 50 to 75 gallons, but I went with 100 gallons initially, thinking that, let's say if I'm doing multiple details, I want to make sure I never ran out of water. And honestly, you use a lot less water than you realize, so I'm thinking of maybe in the near future changing that out. But you can see everything's hooked up. Have a pump back over here at the corner. That's just to reduce the amount of work on the pump here. Basically, the pump back over here is going to be pumping out the same flow as like your household spigot would, so it's going to be able to allow the pressure washer really to do its job versus having to pull water from the tank, which can be very difficult since it's having to run up. After that, we have my Honda generator. This is an EU3000 IS. It's probably one of the best generators for the money. It's very efficient fuel-wise. It's very quiet, and it can actually take the peak wattage of the pressure washer. Since it's electric, that's actually key. If I was anything smaller than the 3000, it wouldn't be able to handle the wattage that the electric pressure washer would put out. So I'm glad I kind of did some research and some conversion to make sure that this was able to handle this or anything with the steamer and other things plugged in at once. It gets about, I think, 20 hours on the low, and then the high wattage, it gets about 7 or 8 hours. So like I said, once you fill this up, it's about 3.5 gallons. it can last a few details or more. It's really just efficient, and it's super quiet. I've never had a customer mention anything about noise. I've even had someone ask like, oh, you have a generator? I didn't even hear it. So it's really great on that standpoint. Now typically I have this strapped down and this strapped down, but I'm about to take all this out, so I removed those earlier today. This is kind of what I have here, and in the back it's all empty space, so I can bring out all of my equipment, either be you know, my DA polishing bags, microfiber containers, all my chemicals, my buckets, paint correction lines, you name it, all of it just fits back there, and it's just really organized and simple. So let me go over how this actually works. So when I come on site, the first thing that I typically do is I'm going to open up the basically the water from the tank to the pump. Okay, once that's open, I make sure that the gun is connected to the hose reel, and then the hose reel is in an unlocked position so you can actually unreel it. So I'll actually unreel it around the car or reel it where I need it to go. And then once that is, I'll come back over to the generator. And typically what I'll do is I'll open up the fuel valve, the choke, get it in the start position, slowly push in the choke, and now you're ready to go. Now I typically have it off on the eco throttle, and that's only because of the peak wattage of the pressure washer when you initially turn it on and when you're using it. But once that isn't being used, everything falls back to the eco throttle since I'm not using as much draw. So this is the noise that you're typically going to hear at full throttle, and that's with everything open, the sliding door and the two back doors. So if you go into eco, you can see how much quieter that is. So when using my steamer or my vacuum cleaner, stuff like that, typically it's going to stay in the eco throttle. So that's where it's going to be the most fuel efficient, and that's where it's going to basically put off no noise in a sense, since once I close this door on the other side and this sliding door, it works out pretty well. Okay, but like I said before, in order to show you everything, I'm going to keep this on the off position for eco throttle. So once I have that on, I'm just going to plug in both the multi-outlet and the pump itself back on the corner next to the tank. So once that's all on, then we'll come back around again. And all I'll do is I'll actually plug in the pressure washer. I'll usually press the reset just to make sure that everything is reset. And then I'll come over here to the pressure washer, turn it on. And that's it. I mean, really, all I have to do is go fill up my buckets, wash the car, whatever you want to do on that standpoint. So it's really simple, to the point. It saves a lot of time since I don't have to hook up hoses. I don't even have to bring, you know, pre-filled 5-gallon buckets, none of that, since I can just fill this up around 2 gallons per minute, so it doesn't take too much time. Really, I mean, that's basically what it is. And then when I'm done with everything, I can just turn off the pressure washer, close out the line, and then close the tank, reel this up. So we'll just pretend that we reel this all up, put this in the lock position, unplug this, and then come back around, turn it off, and then close the fuel valve, and you're basically good to go. I mean, it really is that easy. And anything you bring out of the van, you can just put back into the van. Simple as that. So, like I was saying before, or I may have hinted, there is going to be some changes that are going to be happening here soon. So this is kind of what I call version 1 with my detail setup. And I'm going to actually implement version 2 here soon. And what I was thinking is, and I want some feedback from you guys, is I'm thinking about extending the shelf all the way to the bracket itself so I can get additional 4 or 5 inches. I'm thinking about actually bringing on air so I can dry cars a lot more efficiently and do interiors a little bit quicker versus having to use a lot of the pressure from the steamer. The next thing I was looking to do is maybe downsize from the 100-gallon tank to a 50, since I'm really water efficient now. I don't need to use that much water when I come on site. so I could reduce the weight of the payload, and I can actually gain some additional storage possibly if I went with a smaller tank. So that's kind of the few things that I'm looking to change. Another thing is a new reel that's a little bit more dependable, a little bit more durable, and I'm looking to mount this actually in the center of this, so I can actually see out the windows, versus now this kind of blocks this. So I think I can kind of realign everything a little bit more efficiently. But the generator, you know, the retractable, you know, extension cable, all that's going to be, you know, staying, the pressure washer and staying. But I think just extending the shelf out, maybe going a little bit smaller tank. I'm going to change out the hose to quick connect, the reel to something a little bit more dependable, and just kind of clean it up just a little bit, just so once again I can increase my efficiency. And I think the air will be probably the biggest upgrade, in having like maybe an air reel right here, so I can come off and I can, you know, have a gun so I can dry the exterior and kind of get in all the little crevices on the interior too. So if you guys have any questions or recommendations, definitely leave a comment below. I would love to hear any feedback that you guys would have, or anything that you may have on your setup. Like I said, I'm just looking to make this as simple as possible. Until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day. Take care.